Hello and welcome to Office Hours, ladies and gentlemen. If you haven't seen the news, I would like to present to you Reject Humanity, Ascend to Space Monkey. That's the one thing I thought too, is that it looks like a damn gorilla when it's down below, and I'm like, Silverback? Return to the Silverback? That's another one of those. But anyways, all hail the Space Monkey. Apes together, strong. Reject humanity. Ascend to Xi'an Ape. All right, let's get to the office, shall we? Welcome one and all to the Astropub. My name is Paul Berserker01, Batman Shelley, your humble host and space predator here at your space party at Twitch. And of course, welcome to Office Hours. Office Hours is where it's an AMA where I bring people in from, no, that's Captain Stable, where I just hang out. We talk about Star Citizen lore, we talk about Star Citizen, all that kind of stuff. Citizen of the Apes, yes. Empire of the Apes, that's what it is. All right, let me make sure I have everything else set up. Chat is here. Pop out. There we go. That's a lot of people. Welcome, everybody. Let me close some of this stuff off. Close that off. No, not that. There we go. Welcome, Ash, Roy. Isogen. Appropriate for the 8 meme. Yeah, and it's Natak, Nadak, or something like that. I can't speak alien languages. I would be terrible everywhere else. Oof. Welcome, everybody. Mason, Jenko, Darj. Yeah, where's the alien tax? Okay. It's not too cheap, and I'll explain that here in a bit. But before we do, I'm going to turn down this volume a little bit because it's a little loud, this music. So, first off, let's talk about Gatac. Gatac. Whatever. My band name is terrible. It's Xi'an, Paul. I don't care. Yeah, I always think of it as Railen, but it's Railen, right? It's not Gatac. It's not Gatac. It's Gatac. Something like that. It's like just like an N in front of it. Nigtak. Nigtak, or something like that. Gorilla for sale. Magilla, gorilla. It's Ngatac is how you're supposed to say it. Like Norgan, yeah. Nagtak. Nagtak. Do you know what they meant by shield emitters? We don't know entirely yet, but the theory is that shield emitters is going to transfer, because it says in the description that it'll be for things that are not ships. But it's also for things like that's weird. Give me a second. Still getting a little weird. Oh, no. There you go. Anyways, so in the original description, it was basically setting it up so that you could have shields and things that were not ships. So stations, outposts, those sorts of things. So we'll see. Thank you, Gin and Tonic, for that. That 21 months. Yeah, it's basically the shields are going to be based around one area. So instead of having just shields exist, the shield faces will have their own emitters. So you can damage the emitters and prevent ships from having to have that section emit. So it basically physicalizes shields. So it's not just about Mr. Penguin. Thanks for that 6 months of Prime. Nick, thanks for that 4 months of Prime. 2 months streak. Thank you guys. Welcome. Get some beers up in here. Whoop, hit the wrong button. Luckily, it doesn't care. Okay, well, we'll have to close this and restart it. There we go. Do you think they'll add personal shields? No. Not like Halo and stuff? No. The closest you'll get is maybe on Titan armor you'll have personal shields, like tier 0 shields, but you're never going to have like personal shields like Halo or, you know, like that kind of action games. The most you'll have is like deployable shields. I'd still like to see boarding shields, like riot shields that you can like you can use it like a pistol with. And ideas for info pricing of the Gatac. Yes, it's the Railen. The Railen is the Railen, right? Railen? I can't remember what it said. Someone else tell me how to pronounce it. It's 200 US. So it's 200 USD for the ship at with what's it called? Warbond. The Ritalin. Riot shields are called to Devarin. Damn. I mean, Darj, I know you play play the voice of Ivar Messer, Ivar Messer, on the Galactic Historian. You don't have to become Ivar Messer. Railen. Okay. Like whiskey rye. Okay, that makes sense. Gosh, you guys, with all of the subs, thank you so much. Thank you, Tagram, for all those subs. First Tasty for that sub gifting. Brandon, welcome. 2 months, Branord, that Prime sub. You guys go nuts here. All right, so we're going to do a little bit of a background on Gatac. Nope. Gatac. Yes. Gatac. Yeah, I'm gonna say it. Gatac. Gatac. House Gatac is very old. The thing you have to understand about the Xi'an is that the Xi'an work in a space feudal society. Feudal imperialistic society. No one has any necessarily freedoms. I think that concept would probably be a little foreign to the Xi'an. I mean, they did have a men's or like a male's rights movement a while back to allow for men to also inherit, or the males to also inherit, but because they're a matriarchal species. And so now males can also be emperor, which is unusual. Gnocchi is good. Potato pillows. So, the N is silent, so it's Gatac. Okay. We'll talk about the scratching post, yes. So the House Gatac is actually a subservient house to House Ryua, and Ryua was the house that was the first imperial dynasty. So each species has a deficit that it starts with. Humanity had a deficit of shields. It had terraforming technology, it had jump points, and it had quantum travel, but it did not have shields, or very good shields. The Tavaran had the deficit of terraforming. They had all the other things, but they didn't have terraforming. And when the Xi'an first started, of course, the Xi'an had a huge head start compared to the other two. They lacked jump points. They actually didn't know about jump points early on. So they had quantum drive, they had terraforming technology because it was the only thing that could save them from overpopulation and destruction. But the problem is that the Xi'an were a very, very warring race. They had been at war in kind of a constant feudal war for generations. And then finally, when House Kloa tried to use the terraforming technology that the Xi'an collectively had used to save their planet to assassinate another clan's leader and failed, and then ended up terraforming their whole world so that the world is no longer usable, it was Ryua that managed to step up and organize all of the clans together, all of the houses together, to form the Xi'an Empire, the Rijian. And they then expanded, discovered jump points, and expanded out from there. That's like thousands of years BC when that happened. But Gatac was a subhouse, was a liege. They had sworn fealty to House Ryua. So they died alongside many of House Ryua's soldiers during the end times of the home world. And as for their loyalty, they were given exclusive rights to build industrial spacecraft for the Empire in perpetuity. That is big. No house ever gets permanent rights. Every house is completely up to the whims of the Empire. But because their elders died in the catastrophe, they were given this special treatment, which is why they're very old and very respected in the Empire. Mason, thank you for gifting us a normal Jake as well, and Jankroth for the Mabel and Captain Wee Wee. Is Vassal. Thank you, Vassal. I have a medieval history degree, and I forgot my own feudalistic terms. To be fair, it's been 10 years since I got that degree.
No, it's Gatac. That's
Oh, Gatac. Okay.
how you say it.
Right. Hot cup.
Gatac. Okay. So I was right. Gatac. I said it like a Klingon. It sounds like a Gatac. Hua! 5 months. Time flies. Thank you, Conti, for that 5 months of support. So I like the name, but what is Railen exactly? And I'll explain that here in a second. So as a result, Gatac has been the premier manufacturer for Xi'an industrial ships. That includes trade, cargo, and mining, refining, all those sorts of things. Now, the Railen is a new type of ship because it was built and designed after the Huxaw Treaty was made. This is an interesting challenge. So essentially what Gatac was doing was they were building a ship for multi-species crew. So this is a ship that's specifically designed to function for humanity, for the Xi'an, and just about anybody else. So like Xi'an Drake, they're more like Xi'an Misk. And I gotta say, we know that the Xi'an build holes in their own, unless they retcon that. We know that they build the whole series in Xi'an space. This feels like the Xi'an take on the whole series. But anyways, let's take a look at the brochure together so we can understand a little bit more about what this is. Now, but to give you some context for the Huxat Treaty, for hundreds of years, humanity and the Xi'an were in a Cold War. And once the Cold War started to thaw at the end of the Meso era, humanity was still very standoffish, but were less hostile towards the Xi'an. And finally, in the 2945, I want to say, 2945-ish, 2946, the Emperor and the Imperator, the Emperor of the Xi'an Empire and the Imperator of the UEE, sat down and negotiated together a treaty that was going to be ratified by the Senate, specifically to allow for trade access for both species. It's not a free trade agreement, but a trade agreement that allows for the Xi'an and to operate in human space and for humans to operate in Xi'an space, which was an unparalleled thing as a way of kind of opening up bridges between both of the species, which had been for a long time very anxious. It's a treaty. It's not an agreement. It is a treaty. The human Xi'an trade agreement, which was actually a human Xi'an trade treaty. It was ratified by the Senate. It's a treaty. It gives them access and gives humanity access. It's actually the thing that spawned the Xenothreat attack. If you listen to the Xenothreat intro message, why they're attacking, they specifically say the human Xi'an trade agreement is the big one. It's the reason why anti-Xeno sentiment is so high amongst many radicals of the centralist party. Morning there, Target Drone. Yeah, Xenothreat really didn't like it. In fact, the Imperator was almost assassinated by an anti-Xeno radical. Like, it was a big deal. Like, he was almost killed. The Jerk Party. They are kind of the Jerk Party. I don't like them. I know some people like them, but like, they're kind of fashy, and I'm not a fan of that. Then again, there's no real parties in the UE that aren't kind of fashy. All right, let's take a look at the. Let me also get this in the full screen here. View. Okay, read mode. Get us up to the right location. Okay. Thank you, Sci-Fi, for gifting those subs. Thank you for that 26 months there, Tier 3, Sci-Fi. You rock. Thank you for that Prime sub for 26 months. One Odin. Oh, the tie? This is a pansexual flag. Because I am pansexual. So it's Pride Month. I got a tie. This is the most. I hate rainbows, so I don't like them. So this is the most pride you will see my queer ass on Twitch. That and the purple, but I just like purple because it's very, very royal. Yeah. So it's the new tie. It kind of works with the purple. I like the colors. It looks very clownish, but it's all right. All right, so let's take a look at this. Hey, Paul, I don't know if this was asked yet. Go ahead there, Destroyer. What were you going to ask? Okay, so that's just not working right now. Okay. All right, so. Unlike anything the Xi'an or human ships before, the Railen's convention-defying interior changes the game when it comes to strategy between Xi'an and human hauling concerns, from the creative employment of traditional Xi'an grav tech to innovative facilities that accommodate interspecies crew. So we've got different chairs here. The cockpit's been reimagined to comfortably accommodate both human and Xi'an crew. So, time-tested design principles and perfected by House Gatac over the centuries have expertly explained, reimagined for interspecies use. Recognize this? Recognize this bad boy? I do. That was in a concept tease a while ago that people thought it was a brand new thing. I was like, nah, it looks more like Xi'an. It's got a grav lift, which is going to kill you instantly. This is Star Citizen after all. Then there's the mess hall. Got turret access on the left and right. Available sleeping pods feature a retractable bed, allowing for easy conversion between human and Xi'an use. Now, that's the question. I don't know how they sleep. This human market insert every part of Railen accessible to both Xi'an and human crew members, creating a functional testament to the power of collaboration and spiritual embodiment of the heights that can be achieved through interspecies harmony. Designed to effortlessly accommodate both human and Xi'ans, the Railen's revolutionary living space allow for mixed crews to travel in comfort. Even on extremely long hauls, from component access to onboard facilities, the Railen spares no comfort in exchange for convenience. Max 4, yeah. Do the Xi'an sleep? They do. I'm imagining they may sleep standing up, though. Because it says a retractable bed that allows for easy convergence between human and Xi'an use. Maybe they sleep in complete darkness? I don't know. Maybe they don't use beds. They are turtles. Fully loaded Galactic includes both refrigeration heating components for human cuisine alongside fermentation vessels and growth wall for Xi'an gourmands. So you've got the nutrition amphora, and you've got an actual human kitchen. Because remember, the Xi'an are descended from carrions. So they're descended from scavengers, from vultures, essentially. So they eat a lot of rotten shit. Then we've got the commode. State-of-the-art facilities accommodate human, Xi'an, and Xi'an waste, disposing of unwanted materials efficiently and discreetly. It's good to know that the Xi'an poop. It's a bucket. It is a bucket. And then scratch wall, a traditional feature of Xi'an habitation, conveniently exfoliate dead skin and dirt, stay fresh at long hauls. Now,
Are you itchy turtle? Oh yeah. You like that, huh?
I'm just saying. Turtles. I love it. It adds a little bit of context, because how many times have you had to scratch had an itch at the very center of your back, so you leaned up against the wall and you find an edge and try to scratch the center part? We've all done it. So that's kind of like that idea. All right, interspecies ball turret. Now, it's important to understand that the Xi'an are bigger but shorter. They tend to be a little bit more roundish in terms of their stature, but they're also smaller than humanity. So this essentially allows for Xi'an or humans to get into a turret and activate it, because they also have larger backs because of the shell. A comprehensive offensive configuration featuring quad missile racks and 2 manual turrets, each supporting both human and Xi'an operation. means that this should be a situation turned dire. The Railen won't find itself outgunned. The built-in missile racks utilize unique traditional Xi'an design, concealing the racks themselves to enhance both tactical deception and an elegance of form. Each turret comes with factory equipped with dual size 4 weapons. So there's four size 4 weapons on 2 turrets. This is a spoke missile launcher. Hey, Chris. How you doing, buddy? Chris is one who know more than I do about all of this stuff. He actually understands the language. I don't. Rye transport, len peace. So it's peace transport. The sound in Railen pronounced like Y. The A sound. The A sound? So it's not Railen? Railen? Okay. I think they have adjustable seats, is what they do. Railen, okay. That's Xi'an Paul right there, Paul. I know. brushy Xi'an showers, exactly. It seems like there's some decent, because if you look at the actual configuration of the weapons out, I don't know if they have a picture of it here. You can see with it actually extends out from the wings, so it should have a decent arc forward and back and to the side, because it works kind of like a hammerhead turret in that way. But yeah, so Gatac has been perfecting the art of industrial freight transport for centuries. The distinctly diverse silhouettes created by Gatac ships and their myriad of cargo configurations are a common sight to anyone who's been traversed to Xi'an Empire. Now they will become familiar to the star systems of the UEE-2. So these are bespoke cargo pods, utilize high-grade alloy from Elcine system, and a unique shape, maximizing payload capacity with the combined 320 SCU. Ensures freight maintains safe and most turbulent flights. Okay, so this is not a small ship. This is the height of a reclaimer. Just so you can get this idea. This is not small by any means. I saw that AC Vertigo did the math, and it's like the height of the reclaimer, the width of an 890 jump, and the length of a constellation. It's a box. Big monkey. Yes. I now have to pull that out again. Hold on. Why is this? No, that's not it. Oh, whatever. Monkey. That's dangerous custom. It's a steal. All right. So, I'm going to say some things which may not be very popular because I'm going to go over this pretty succinctly. It's pretty big. Like this is its flight and landed are slightly different. It's longer landed because of the wings fold back, as you can see. But the height is about the same, and is slightly different, and the width is the same. It actually has its own tractor beam. So it has a tractor beam. It has one large shield emitter, but it has two large shield generators, which is interesting. One medium quantum drive, so it's a size 2 quantum drive. Size 3 power plant. size 2 life support. These are very weird sizing differences. 2 large shield generators, but 1 shard emitter, 2 size 3 coolers, medium computer, 1 size 2 tractor beam. So that's the Gatac. In terms of the width, it's the same width as the 890. That's the thing. It's the same width as the 890. That's the reason why HC Vertigo is using that, because that gives you kind of the idea of the width, the side to side. It's a box. It's a box that's slightly taller than it is wide. From tip to tip, yeah. It's 52 meters, but that's the 890 as well. The general shapes matching does not equate copying a ship. Interior footage of the ship here. What? I'm confused. Oh, okay. I'm seeing. There was a lot of updates on the lore pages by the lore team. Did you get to see what they updated there? Saw some of the Xi'an lore posts were touched. Yes, most of it is minor stuff, but we're going to go over that today. Is it just me or the alien cargo ship very advanced in ship interior detail compared to other white box concepts? I saw the videos from 2019 which showed the interior then. Oh, for sure. They've changed a lot of how they do concept ships now. A lot of ships are now just modeled out 3D entirely from concept before they go onto sale, because it makes it easier for people to kind of see. It makes it the idea for them to build it in a way that will meet people and its function. Because in the past, they just did sketches and general ideas, and then they'd have to, when they went in to actually model the rooms and such, they realized there wasn't enough space based off of the dimensions they used. So they're starting to use a lot of 3D modeling for like animatics, like very simple stuff, to kind of block out the whole thing for white box compared to what they've done in the past. But like, why alien cargo now? Kurism, there's a larger alien Xi'an cargo ship which is being made for Squadron 42. The Xi'an cargo ship for that one is probably made by the same manufacturer. So they were probably playing around with ideas and messed around with that. Now, here's the thing. The reason why this ship was chosen is because all of the ships that were on the panel for possibly getting made in 2019 at CitizenCon have been made, except for the refinery ship. So we have, one of them was a Xi'an cargo ship, which we have. One of them was a mining ground vehicle, which was the Rock. And the other one was a Tavaran light fighter, the Talon. So we have the Railen, the Talon, and the Rock. Untitled showed some footage from like 3 years ago, the large Xi'an interior, presumably from this ship. No, that ship is different. If you see that ship is much bigger. That ship is that was leaked footage of that interior. That ship is for Squadron 42. They have it even in the progress tracker. I thought I said the refinery ship. The refinery ship is the only one that hasn't been made yet, but it was the one that won the voting contest. So there's already deliverable on the roadmap for Xi'an cargo in general. Yes, this is not that. If this was, we actually talked with Jake about this earlier, because everyone says, so this is the Xi'an cargo ship for Squadron 42. And Jake's like, no, it's not on the roadmap. So the Railen is not on the roadmap currently. Because it's not on the roadmap currently, this is not the Xi'an cargo ship that you saw. What are the odds we'll get an alien exploration ship? High, it really depends on when. Will we be able to purchase a Railen at IAE, you think? I mean, you definitely will be able to purchase it. In terms of in-game, probably not. One in the air, it looks like the Gallant Tristan. It looks like a star U. Will we ever see an alien starter ship akin to the price? Probably a Xi'an starter ship at some point, but we'll see. It's not really as important right now as the other ships that they still have to build out. Do you think there's any correlation between this and the Anvil getting invited to that facility in MacArthur? Probably not. Likely not. I am, Tyler. I am. I have to go through all of it in detail. Now, House Gatac is interesting to hear because I think we heard a little bit about them before because it was an earlier release. But I'm definitely going through some of this very carefully. We're first talking about the ship itself for the Railen. Now, the pricing is weird, but here's the thing. CIG prices for components, not really for role necessarily, especially for weapons. I think you're still paying the alien tax because the closest ship this is in comparison to is the Hull B. Exterior cargo, mostly a freight ship, designed with minimal crew in mind for maximum usage. It doesn't really do much beyond that. It has a little bit more luxuries than a typical Hull series is, because the Hull series is more of a straight up roughing it, bare bones basic. You just need to get from point A to point B. And this allows for sleeping quarters, for food, for relaxation, for more variable, and some more weapons. But in terms of the cargo capacity, it's about the same as a Hull B. So and the Hull B is like $90. So you're paying about $110 more than a Hull B. So if you're looking for basic utility, you're still overpaying. But if you like the design and you like the style, I think that's where it comes into. I think everyone's saying it's super cheap, but I think it's because people aren't really looking at it in terms of what it's compared to. Now, we did talk to Jake, and Jake said he didn't know if they've completely changed the whole series either. When we talked with him about this, so alien lore, yes. What exactly happens during Alien Week? It'll all in my first Invictus, but Alien. So Alien Week is a lot more low key. It's essentially First Contact Week. So around this time period. Let me look at the actual date for First Contact, because I know it's before the. I know it's generally it's in the 2530s or 2480s, one of those two. Star Citizen. Yeah. 2438. So it was in the 2430s. So in 2438, specifically, June 12th. So in 2 days. First Contact Day is in 2 days. Vernon Tarr, a wildcat nav jumper. He was a explorer who was hunting down a jump point, ran into another alien vessel, or not alien vessel, another vessel that he assumed was another human explorer that was trying to cut in on his deal. So he took a shot at it, missed, and then after he took a shot at it and missed, he looked a little closer and realized, oh, this isn't a human ship. This is something completely different. And they kind of, the two sides kind of stared at each other. He called in for the UNE. The UNE showed up, started to kind of communicate. They called the Banu Jerry, by the way. After a while, the Banu they sent out a signal. They found the jump point that Jerry probably came through. They sent a signal through the jump point saying, hey, we got your boy. And the Banu showed up. They started to discuss, and they then negotiated a peace treaty. Turns out Jerry, the Banu, was also an outlaw. he was running from his own Suli because he had fucked up and managed to stumble across another human. So by finding humanity, he went from being an outlaw to being literally one of the most famous Banu ever. Possibly. I think Jerry is just the lore team has lots of in-jokes like that. It's probably a pop culture reference. That's a funny looking ship. Oh, that's a space crab. I haven't been through. We'll go through the lore section together. So, Jerry. So essentially, Alien Week is a time, for those of you who don't know, is a time when CIG sells a lot of its alien ships. The first Alien Week was last year after Invictus, and it was a way of saying, hey, we can't sell all the alien ships for Invictus because it doesn't make theming. But soon after Invictus was First Contact Day, which had been in lore for years. So they just said, let's just do it during First Contact Week. So First Contact Day, that kind of works. It better not be a Seinfeld reference. Alien Week is an out-of-game event, while Invictus is in-game in lore. Yeah. Yeah, it's mostly like many Star Citizen events, sales. It's usually an in-fiction reason, but it's very rarely an event in-game in terms of an actual event. I can't wait for an actual First Contact Day event where we can go get drunk with Banu. Don't sign anything or say anything. Don't promise anything to a Banu. You will end up a slave. So we won't get to fly all the... No, you won't get to fly all the alien ships. They just sell the alien ships because there's not many of them that are sold consistently. Alien ships are sold at IAE, right? Mostly, yeah. Usually they have... The manufacturers of alien spacecraft usually show up to IAE. Yeah, all of them do. What's the Banu word for Shanghai? I think that's Chris's call. I don't know what the Banu word for Shanghai is. Never play poker with a Banu. All right. So that's Gatac's lore. Let's go into the new lore posts real quickly. But before that, let's actually go into the latest stuff from Star Citizen. Okay. All right, so let's go. Let's take a look at this stuff. Let's watch this section together. Pause this.
People in the world to ever go to a sporting event with because they love sports, but they don't really care about the teams.
And it's kind of confusing for humans to go to a game with a large Banu crowd because the Banu just want to see exciting, cool stuff happen. So they're cheering for everyone throughout the game.
They are totally up for having fun whenever. Like, they work hard, they play hard, they take cat naps. They are extremely interested in enjoying life.
Their society is organized around these work family guilds known as Sulis.
Suli.
Where they're...
By the way, I am the SO Suli of Star Citizen lore. It's a joke because the Banu don't actually practice history. So I am the only SO Suli of history in the Star Citizen universe. Count it.
Adopted from a young age as kind of an apprentice by a Suli that specializes in manufacturing spaceships or making weapons or cooking.
They're very quick to give favors, but they also expect a favor in return. So be careful if a Banu asks you to, pick them up at the airport.
The Banu is the first alien race that humanity ever had contact with.
There was a human pilot kind of out, seemingly in the middle of nowhere, named Vernon Tar, who was scanning for a jump point.
Came upon a Banu vessel and fired upon it, thinking it was like an enemy ship. But once they got close enough, they realized, oh heck, that's an alien.
It was a fun run-in that was initially very tense, but we quickly came onto friendly terms with them.
They were happy to find new trading partners, and we were very happy to encounter aliens for the first time.
The Tavaran are a martial society.
They immediately tried taking our territory and was very hostile from the get-go, and it started two large wars, the first Tavaran War and the second Tavaran War.
As a culture, they're actually my favorite. It feels like there's a lot of opportunities for really interesting, haunted characters.
A big motivation for them is that their people hadn't developed terraforming technology, and so their space to expand was very limited to worlds that were naturally habitable.
They were first assimilated into the UEE by force after the first Tavaran War, and after the second Tavaran War, they voluntarily assimilated themselves. They, as a people, decided collectively to throw their culture away.
Humanity got a lot of our shield tech from them, like air shields were a Tavaran invention, so we didn't have them before that war. You can see that in their ship designs, with the Prowler having these unique drop bays with the air shields for people to exit out of. A lot of Tavaran history was actually preserved by the UEE after the Tavaran themselves tried to purge it. Now,
so Rijora, which is the religion of the Tavaran, was an incredibly martial religion, and the second Tavaran War was a holy war. It was a crusade to reclaim their homeland, and it was not fought as a war. It was a religious zealotry, and it really did. How successful they were really did garner them a lot of support from other Tavaran, and when it failed, it broke the Tavaran. It was like the ultimate example of like their faith had failed them. So that's why they burned all their records. They were just like, it's done. This is the apocalypse. We failed on our duties. It's time for us to die. And they just started burning their cultural artifacts. And it was humans who actually managed to preserve some of them because they realized how, what needed to be done.
Currently we're seeing them enter a new phase of where the first Tavaran senator was recently elected.
This elevation of a Tavaran seems to have sparked a recent interest in a cultural revival. So Tavaran are now starting to relearn their once lost language.
Welcome, Enterprise. Sorry, we're talking about alien lore. So come in if you want to learn more about the Star Citizen universe. Come join us.
And starting to dabble in bits of the culture that was once lost. I like that they're survivors. They saw the writing on the wall and they found a way to keep themselves and their families alive in spite of a horrific situation.
A great thing about the Xi'an, they're kind of known for their rather pungent eating choices amongst humanity.
They kind of poop like birds do, so it's just, they don't pee, they just do like the combo.
So if you see what looks like a bird bath in a Xi'an ship, that is not a water fountain. Don't drink from it.
The Xi'an society is based around these family house lines, and very important of tracing their lineage.
The Emperor is their own house, and part of the thing is
he's got a Drake Interplanetary hoodie. That's all I'm going to say.
There's a sort of a mandatory service period for all Xi'an where they have to serve basically for the government.
And that's to help foster kind of a sense of unity amongst the Xi'an people.
Technologically speaking, are probably a little bit more advanced than we are.
They are masters of anti-gravity tech from a very long time before they discovered space, like jump tunnels and things like that.
Xi'an are very long-lived, and so their view of time is different than humanity's.
So it's important to understand, as I said earlier, the Xi'an are a feudalistic society. Each of the great houses has their own representation, and they all swear fealty to the emperor. but all of the great houses have sub-houses, vassal houses that also work for them. So, for instance, as there might be a vassal house that makes string, a vassal house that grows cotton, and then the vassal house that grows cotton is vassal to the house that makes string, and then the vassal house that makes string are vassals to the great house that makes clothing. So it's each step of the manufacturing process is owned by its own Xi'an house. The scale at which you are producing stuff determines how much you are, how great you are as a house. The great houses are the ones that are producing ships, weapons, technology, clothing, food. Like, we're talking like mass scale stuff, things that are absolutely vital. And they have vassals which are involved in every step of the production process. And you are loyal to your house. You are born into a house, you remain to that house, and you because Xi'an live for hundreds and hundreds of years, possibly 1,000 years, you are stuck doing your job very, very well.
Partially because of their philosophy, Litova, which is a kind of a moral code and a system of belief.
There was very close to an interspecies war kicked off when we first met the Xi'an.
It was during sort of like this gold rush era where everybody was just out trying to terraform planets as quickly as they could to try and secure, mining rights.
The Xi'an, who were already in the system, saw these strange aliens trying to terraform a planet that was in their territory and went, that's a little weird. And then forcibly captured all the humans, contacted the human government and said, hey, you guys left something in our system. We don't like it. Please take it back.
All right, so it's even more fucked up than that. That's the very quick and easy version. Humanity was in a gold rush trying to expand itself. It had met the Banu. It had so it knew that other alien species existed, but they were going wildcat terraformers were trying to capture anything they could. So new system was discovered. Humanity a company immediately went in there to claim the land to start terraforming it, because if they started terraforming it, they could lay claim to it and then sell it to colonists. So as a result, these systems were not being scanned. They were being, this is a new system. Go, rush. Sometimes, terraforming companies would be sent out the moment that a new system was found. They wouldn't even wait for a survey team to go through because they wanted to claim the land. That was the case with this terraforming team. They show up, they start setting up the equipment, and then suddenly these aliens show up and put guns in their faces. Now, it's important to remember that the Xi'an's home world was destroyed during a terraforming accident. So, essentially, this would be like setting up a concentration camp. To the Xi'an, just like in their backyard. Like, what the fuck? Like, who the fuck are these people, and why the fuck are they trying to kill us all? And so the Xi'an were a little pissed. And when humanity showed up expecting like what they expected with the Banu, they were met instead with an incredibly advanced race and everyone was pointing guns at each other and trying to get everyone to cool down. So yeah, humanity didn't really get off on the right foot with the Xi'an. And as a result, it's really like from then on, humanity and the Xi'an were just like this, like, don't you blink first. I'm gonna blink first. I'm gonna get you. Neither side really trusting one another. Both sides expecting the worst out of each other. So it's called the Xi'an Cold War. Accident. Yeah, it wasn't intentional. It was a accident in the sense that they didn't mean to blow up the whole planet. They just wanted to assassinate one house, but ended up destroying the whole planet.
Vandu are kind of mysterious. We don't know much about them.
That's cool. Yeah, these are new designs for the Vandu, which is nice. That's a kingship. That's a driller. The kingship went on slim fast.
We know from observation that they seem to be very, very insular. They seem to believe in the idea of a meritocracy.
They're very powerful warriors. They're very hardy. They can exist for short times in the vacuum of space.
Our observers think that they're harvesting resources for some greater purpose, and some people think that they just really like to fight. And either one of those could be true.
They sort of...
I'm going to back this up a little bit. So you'll notice these Vanduul are naked. They have no armor on whatsoever, and they're carrying weapons. These are incredibly dangerous Vanduul. If you see a naked Vanduul, run. Or hit it with a railgun. Because that thing is an incredibly elite soldier. The naked Vanduuls are the ones that are the most elite out of all of them. In fact, the one that has the most armor is actually the newer ones. They're the rookies. And it's as you become more advanced, as you win more battles and you gain more glory, you're allowed to remove armor pieces until you're completely naked. And then you are a new naked Vanduul male. Yes. So
True.
They sort of were introduced to us when an outpost was mysteriously sort of wiped out.
Judging from their ships, they have very utilitarian aesthetics. They are oriented around the clans that they seem to come from, but we have never observed anything that indicates a central government.
Vanduul clans have raided humanity.
Do the Vanduul have private parts? We don't know how they breed. We know very little about the Vanduul. We kind of get that they're a clan structure. We think that clans can be formed, can form on their own. If some people decide to leave the clan, they can form their own clans. We don't know if they're female Vanduul. We don't know how they reproduce. We don't even know how they eat. We haven't really talked to a Vanduul. they either kill themselves or blow themselves up if we try to capture them. So we don't know.
Land on planets, take as many resources as they can, and then flee back into Vanduul space.
And it's what sort of kickstarted a much more proactive military campaign against them. So they're sort of the alien culture that we are currently locked in a sort of war with.
Of course, there's a lot of debate going on against what is the end game of that war against the Vanduul. Does it mean wiping them out altogether? Does it mean setting up a border defense that they can't get through? Does it mean reclaiming the systems that we've lost to them?
Ideally, we want to put this in a position where like the players are the ones who are helping reveal some of this information. That's always been one of the things that's been very fun about this game, is this idea that Chris wants the players to help unlock the mysteries of the universe.
So what did we learn this week? Well, we learned that just like...
Thank you, Jared. So, that is pretty cool. Let me go through some of this. CR insisted on keeping the harpoon. Harpoons worked in Firefly. Vanduul are obsessed with blades. So, they would, if they can, they will kill you in melee combat. And that includes in space combat. The Vanduul do not like using ranged combat. They prefer up close and personal, and they kill you with a blade. Which makes them a little bit easy to take if you have good ranged combat. Which is the reason why, if you look at an anvil ship, it's just an engine with armor and guns. Because the purpose of an anvil ship is to blow up a Vanduul ship before they reach them. And if the Vanduul get there, they just wing off the armor. Anvil ships are built to fight the Vanduul. So that's why the F7A and the F8A are both giant flying armored gun platforms. Because that's what they're designed to do. Whereas the Gladius is more designed to fight the Xi'an. Nimble, agile, fast, hard-hitting, but lightly armored, more reliant on shields. The Gladius works very well to counter the Sentokai, the Xi'an Scout, but not so good for the heavy Vanduul. So you can actually see in the lore where they balance the ship's production. And you'll notice that the ships that are more heavy to medium fighters, heavier hitting, are the ones that are getting the most being produced now in the modern times of the UE. So it also explains the success of the Perseus, yes, which is just heavy armor and big guns, which is exactly what you need to take out a Vanduul ships. Bring on the brick. Yeah. The brick inside of the cockpit is awesome. That's just it made me get it. What brick are you guys talking about? If you have an M2, I wouldn't think a Railen would help your fleet. The Railen looks amazing. I want to know more before I get to it, though. Actually, I already have a Cat and an M2. I really like how it looks. Well, you'd get. I think you have more cargo with the M2 and the Caterpillar. The only reason why you get a Railen, because here's the thing about Railens. The Railen is huge. It is not a small ship. It is like the height of a reclaimer. It's huge. It's the length of a Connie, the height of a reclaimer, and the width of an MSR. Oh yeah, my bad. Cartual. But even the Sentok Yai is not built around the idea of heavy firepower. It's more designed around speed and maneuverability, but it doesn't really have a lot of armor. It's firepower, but not armor. I would still not use. You might use an F7 to counter a Sentok Yai, but a better ship would be a Gladius or an Arrow, just because It's huge, Merrick. Reclaimers are tall. They're the tallest ships in Star Citizen, next to that you can fly currently. That's not counting the wings, though, Darj. If you count the wings when it flies, it's the size of a reclaimer. Here's some scale comparison so you guys get an idea. 320 SCU. So this is scale comparison. This is the Hercules. This is the whole B, and this is the ship, the Railen. The Xi'an have been at war with the Vanduul for much longer than humans, right? So why are those fighters more geared towards agile than armor? Because the Xi'an do not have a lot of border space with the Vanduul. We don't know why. We don't even know how badly they are attacking the Xi'an. I mean, the Xi'an might have entire divisions devoted just to fighting the Vanduul, but they do not seem to have a lot of border worlds with the Vanduul. Unlike humanity, which has a huge border with the Vanduul. So, the Ryan. Yeah, they don't tend to interact much. And the Xi'an also, from what we can understand, the Xi'an fleet, one Xi'an fleet along the human border is like the entirety of the human Navy. The UEE Navy, the entire UEE Navy is about the same size as one fleet for the Xi'an. The Xi'an Empire is huge. We don't know how big it is. It's massive. And the Xi'an don't want to tell humanity how many planets or systems they have. Humanity doesn't give a shit. They tell Xi'an what they want. But the Xi'an are very careful about who gets what information. So whenever humanity accidentally finds a Xi'an system, it's happened before, even in peacetime, they just stumble upon a system. They're like, oh, this is already inhabited by the Xi'an. It's not like the Xi'an said, oh, hey, here's another system. They don't tell us these things. They just exist. So the one time humans have been allowed to even witness the Xi'an fleet, it was intentionally large. So it's hard to tell if it's the Xi'an were actually just boasting. They were just putting their entire navy on that one spot just to kind of make the humans feel tiny by comparison, or if if that's actually just like one fleet. So. Yeah, the whole B has 384 SCU. It has more SCU than the other ones do. Oh yeah, Tyler, I don't know if you're still here. There is that new paint on the Tavaran. That looks very cool. I don't know what that paint is, but it looks very Tavaran. So why no Kurthok? Because the Kurthok aren't... So to understand the Kurthok, for those of you who don't know, are the fifth species in Star Citizen that are active and current and sentient. You've got the Banu, the Tavaran, the Xi'an, and the Vandul. Yeah, the Kurthok are the fifth. Now, the thing about the Kurthok is that they have been in a massive, long war that's still going on called the Spirit Wars. During the Spirit Wars, what we do know what has happened is the Kurthok managed to simultaneously kill every single member of the royal household, of the imperial household, at the same time, at once, in like 1400. Let me look at the actual time. 1457. AD. This caused a second Xi'an civil war, a very small Xi'an civil war, because the thing about the Xi'an Empire is that the Xi'an Emperor can only be emperor if they have certain genetic markers, like the genetic mutation. Only those genetic markers can be the emperor. So, that was pretty big. Cue a human having those genetic mutations like in Babylon 5? Maybe. So the reason why, and here's the thing. People asked, this is stupid lore. Because I've literally heard this happen. This is stupid lore. If humanity had known about the Kurthok and didn't trust the Xi'an, then they would have obviously sent a message to go try to meet the Kurthok. So they, this is dumb. Guess what? Humanity tried that, and it didn't end well. They sent a spy who was a seasoned explorer to try to sneakily sneak through Xi'an space to where they think the Kurthok are, and they got caught almost instantly. And then the Xi'an did this whole kind of very smile, we caught a spy. And then humanity was like, what are you talking about, spy? We don't have spies in your land. What would be stupid? Then why were they going here? Who are these people? Who's this guy, and where is he going? And it nearly caused a war. This is what actually spurred on the human-Xi'an trade agreement, was the capture of this dude, who was sent there by elements of the Senate who were working independently of the actual government. A. Sounds like Russian. Yeah, that's very much Russia and the U.S. The Cold War kind of aesthetic is kind of there for that. What new Tavaran pain? I don't see it. What do you mean? Oh, paint. Let me go back and see it. Let me show you guys again. Let me where I closed it. History.
No, it's Gatac
Point.
came upon
Quickly came onto friendly.
for the first time.
The Tavar.
This paint job. This is brand new. The stripes, the green with the stripes and the little red. This is a brand new skin.
Tavaran are a martial society.
He immediately tried taking our territory and was very hostile from the get-go. And before that war, You can see humanity got a lot of our shield tech from them. Like air shields were a Tavaran invention, so we didn't have them before that war. You can see that.
The orange and green, I don't think this is a skin that we have right now.
In their ship designs, with the Prowler having these unique drop bays with the air shields for people to exit out of. A lot of Tavaran history was actually preserved by the UEE after the Tavaran themselves tried to purge it. Now, currently, we're seeing them enter a new phase of where the first Tavaran senator was recently elected.
This elevation of a Tavaran seems to have sparked a recent interest in a cultural revival. So Tavaran are now starting to
that skin right there. This is a brand new skin.
Relearn their once lost language and starting to dabble in.
That's definitely a Tavaran skin, a new Tavaran skin. That was sold at Invictus? Then it's new. The striped, it's striped red and green. It's green striped with red and green on it. I'll back it up a little bit. Because I didn't see this at Invictus either.
Are now starting to I
don't think they sold this. This. Notice how you have the stripes. You have a kind of like a matte green undercoat, but you have these translucent stripes with red underneath it. With like, and this actually a blue, kind of an under hue of blue here. It's just kind of like Tavaran camo.
Relearn their once lost language.
This makes sense. It's kind of like dazzle paint. This would be, I'd imagine this would be something you'd use in like where it's being flown through, where it's kind of more of a tropical environment with some trees, some browns and greens, that to kind of like break up the silhouette a little bit from above. Do I think a major incursion to UE space is imminent? What do you mean by imminent, and by who? That's the question. Yes, a major incursion is always imminent. Where and by who is the question. Rhodesian camo. Okay. Could be iridescent too if they wanted to go that route. There's a little bit of iridescence in there, in some of the stripes and some of the other stuff. I think if there's a matte underneath, but the stripes are iridescent, which is pretty cool. Oh, you're talking about the Talon one. The Talon one. Okay. The Prowler skin was the new one. From Tavarans? No, the Tavarans aren't going to have an incursion in human space. No. The Vandul are always pushing human space, but that's pretty typical. I don't think you'd see a Tavaran. I don't think there is no species that is imminently going to attack humanity until players get into those areas. Then we will see the imminent attack. Why does PO have to blow up? It doesn't have to blow up. It might be replaced. Just the reason why it would need to be replaced is because PO is old assets. And I don't know the statistics, but for instance, the old Freelancer, before they replaced it with the new model, the model that we currently have, took up more memory than a Bengal. So, quite literally, Port Olisar could itself have so many assets that it takes up more assets for the server than all of ArcCorp. It could take up more assets than all of the different stations that are available in Star Citizen combined, because it's an old asset. The skin probably would be offered, yeah. This is not confirmed. What I just said is not like CIG said this takes that up, but based off of what we know about how more efficient CIG has gotten with their assets, it's safe to say that Port Olisar is not efficient in terms of its allocation. They can't replace Port Olisar soon enough. I have a feeling that 314 we're going to see it replaced. If not, I'd be surprised. The reason why people want it to be blown up, though, is because they have a feeling that CIG would rather see the station go out in a bang than a whimper, because it's one of the icons of Star Citizen. It's up there with the Hornet and, probably, yeah. It's been on like a lot of the cover art for like Twitch for a long time. It's the oldest station in Star Citizen. It's been around for years. The design is iconic. They've used the portions of it as debris for a lot of things. Port Olisar is like one of the symbols of Star Citizen. So if you're going to get rid of it, and there's a replacement, like they have its Port Olisar styled station that they could replace it with. But if they're going to take it out, why not have it with a bang? What I think is going to replace in 314, because Orison's coming in. Because we've got Crusader and Orison. If they both make it into 314, then you probably see a new station. Yeah, that's why people want it to be blown up, is because they think it deserves a good death, rather than just being replaced. Because that's kind of it's kind of a weak way of getting rid of something that's that iconic. But we don't know. That's the thing is that no one, using my historian brain, the first indication that Port Olisar was going to be destroyed was not a CIG thing. It was players indicating it might be destroyed. Because in 2019, the first Xenothreat messages began to get played. The People of Stanton, a great injustice, that and then the kind of garbled, all that kind of stuff, that was played over loudspeakers, and it was first heard at Port Olisar. So people thought, because people are stupid and they don't read the lore, that was a message from the Vandul, that they were going to attack Olisar because of an old animation that they had done about like using like procedural systems where like if an invasion was going to come, they would like drop blast shields over glass and stuff like that. So for some reason, Vandul would be speaking English in an English accent. So that's where the origin comes from originally, is that players were suspecting that was going to happen. And I said it wasn't that because I read the lore. And I knew it was some sort of outlaw group, and I was proven right. I'm just holding on to this because I was right. Thank you, Jen. So that's why I would take it with a grain of salt, because I think from there, CIG may have picked up on the idea and decided it as well independently. They may have had this idea all along, but the idea first originated from that broadcast that was heard at Port Olisar. So I don't know if it's true for 100%. I think most people would like it to be true because of how iconic it was. Star Citizen is definitely another universe focused on distinctly humanoid sapient species. Yeah, because it's easier to mocap and animate. It's a video game. CIG's already taking fucking 20 years to make this game. I don't want them to have to take 40 years to make a game that's more realistic to alien species. Yeah, that's what I was saying, was that it wasn't necessarily this, it was the message and this. And that's what I was saying, like, because this wasn't actually designed as this whole thing from the ATV. This was from an old ATV. This wasn't meant as a thing about Vanduul Fleet. This was more about setting out procedural messaging. This was the start of the this was the start of the event system. This is like the things they were talking about being able to produce this. This was the first pass they were doing on this back in like 2015, 2016. Which is the reason why they were doing this. And they use that as kind of an example, but that's because they had assets on hand. Five years dev, 9 years from concept. Yeah. But you get my point. CIG is taking a long time to make this. It's better that they focus on the things that matter, which are gameplay and themes, than trying to come up with species that are like 4 limbs or crawl along their bellies or use their butts to talk. None of that really matters. It's kind of cool, but then having like any kind of interaction with those species is going to be weird. So humanoid aliens have always been used in science fiction. Not because of necessarily a lack of imagination, but for budget reasons and for telling stories. Because for those of you who don't know, science fiction is not a medium of pure fantasy. It's a medium of allegory. Often a way of exploring concepts which are taboo or hard to talk about in our modern society, in a way that that writers and creators can't be criticized for expressing on their own. So a lot of people talk out of their butts. Look how jank A Species 8472 was in Star Trek Voyager. To the point where they basically wrote them out of their own storylines and just said that they can magically transform into humanoid figures. Because it was fucking easier than having to like animate that janky 3D image. It's over 4 years old. Yeah. This is like 2014, 2015. Moon is a harsh mistress. Do androids dream of electric sheep? Starship Troopers, the movie is an allegory, though the actual book is a political treatise by Heinlein. The Martian Chronicles has a lot of those heavy themes in it. Star Trek is just a giant allegory for things like race relations and women's suffrage or women's rights. Do you think the whole series will get bigger as they go up in price now? Possibly, but we'll see. Stranger in a Strange Land? Yeah. Nah, science fiction is about sex bots and the rule of cool. That's also not untrue. The Star Trek episode, Let This Be Your Last Battlefield. Or Let This Be Your Battlefield. I don't know the actual title of it, but yeah, the white half, black half, white half. It was a very unsubtle allegory. The Last Question, yeah. I mean, all of The Expanse is an exploration of political themes in a science fiction universe, but it's also an exploration of political themes in modern day. So, the movie's an abomination. The movie is an allegory for fascism. It's a giant. A lot of people don't realize that it's a critique of the military and how the military breeds propaganda and breaks people and turns them into machines rather than being humans. It's like people are like, oh, RoboCop. It's a fun action story about a man who's a robot who shoots things. It's like, yeah, it's also a commentary on police state and corporate corruption, which is its main story. And a critique of the Cold War. But that's all of his movies. So the opposite of the book. It's more like, if I remember correctly, and I'm forgetting the director's name, is that they read the book and they said, hey, if this was real, this would be fascism. And so, which is a take that libertarians really have a problem with, because it's very libertarian in terms of its ideals. But it leaned into that message saying, hey, let's almost parody that to the point where that you would see in the show. Like, even if they went full 1-to-1 realistic with they wouldn't have been able to, because they didn't have the money to, with like the powered armor and all that kind of stuff. They would have still gone with the angle they did, which is like Johnny Rico is a victim, not the hero. That's the kind of message. More meat for the grinder. Yeah, basically. And I'm not here to talk necessarily about political and overall, because I know people hate it when I do that. But it's important to understand in terms of how science fiction is written. And Star Citizen's no different. The Tavaran are a stand-in for many of the oppressed peoples of the world. The stand-in of many native peoples who were victims of imperialism from 1492 up to today. And who's had their culture erased, who have to rebuild from scratch and are facing the struggles of either integrating with many of the places that they've become, the imperialistic countries that conquered them a long time ago, or trying to reform their culture and heritage from where they are. There's a lot of that kind of discussion that's going on in the lore about that. That's like more on the nose about a political allegory. The bugs represented communism. Yeah, 100%. They represented communism because of that's what Heinlein thought of them. Hey, Pickle Skin. I mean, we're going to get into another conversation about messages and stories in video games. You can ignore the messages and play the video games. You don't have to look and see the critique of corporatism of corporate America in Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal, or Doom 2016 specifically is heavily ripping on corporate America, to a point of parody. You can just enjoy beating the shit out of demons, but pretending like those messages don't exist is kind of bad, because we live in a world where politics is a thing and people bring their own experiences. A game without politics or without allegory any kind of work of art without any kind of the kind of grounding in those sorts of things is kind of dull. It's important to bring those things in to make connections and to make things a little bit better. Yeah, messages in video games are important. But you don't have to listen to them. Your $50 of country heritage. Damn. But can the corporate America make a game critiquing corporate America, that being a middle finger to their players? I mean, it depends. There's plenty of interesting roundabout ways. Like, for instance, does Bethesda care that they're critiquing corporate America? Probably not, if they even care about it at all. All they know is it's Doom. No one plays Doom for the plot. They play Doom to rip and tear until it's done. I mean, it's Doom. So you can get away with some stuff that maybe the head corporate people at the top don't necessarily see. So you can slip some little bit of messages here and there that may be a little bit more against the grain because no one's paying attention to them. Because as long as it makes the money, they don't care. CIG isn't really corporate America, is it? Not really. I mean, they're more independent, but they're definitely a corporation. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the plot, is his cat gets killed, so he kills demons. You are literally a force of nature, an unstoppable force of nature. Nothing can stop you. You kill 3 gods. Like, it's not even a joke. Oh, it's his bunny. Okay, yeah. John Wick under the armor, yeah. I like how Twitch chat is discussing that, and YouTube chat is just talking about ships. That's really what Star Citizen is. It's just ships. I'm not going to get too into this because I know it's going to cause some people to really hard in the YouTube comments. Pickle skin, but I disagree. But is corn grass? No, corn's is a cereal. Twitch has intellectual heavyweights and hot tub consumers. I'm just a teacher. This is the kind of I'm a history teacher. So like I also teach social studies. So like politics, economics, history, culture, like anthropology, those things fascinate me more than anything else. Corn is fuel. Corn is life. Bro, we ship guys. Is that a Hemi? Gotta catch them all. Star Citizen's a sci-fi version of Pokemon. Gotta catch them all. When does it start tomorrow? Probably my guess is 11 or 12 Central. Usually it's 12 Central, so 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. PST, like 6 p.m. British summertime. Usually it's what they do. Yeah, they're not going to give any new info about the Asonians. Favorite era of history? I mean, I went to college for medieval history, medieval European history. Mostly French. No, yeah. Mostly Europe, England, but I also did some French and a lot of Italian history. Usually a lot of early modern Italian, more like Renaissance Italian. But my main focus was medieval England. So when's Fancy going to start her streaming career? I know, she's more famous than I am. Do I speak another language? I used to read and speak Latin, not so much anymore. Hablo un poco español, pero no se practica mucho español. Mi lengua es inglés. Inglés. I'd have to practice more with my Spanish. I used to be fluent in Spanish. Close out of 10. I used to speak Spanish every day. So, when I was younger, growing up. But my parents lived in Spain for a long time too. So, in Barcelona. But my parents spoke Spanish. They didn't speak very good Spanish. They spoke better Castilian. Or was it Castilian? Catalan, I think. Yeah. Una cerveza, por favor. And ¿dónde estás mis pantalones? I hope you're not asking the second one. Speaking of corn, do we ever complete the list of massacres? I mean, I get the reference. I'm just trying to remember the massacres. So 1 a.m. in Australians, and I'm not sleeping. I'm sorry, Alan. So I learned Spanish first growing up, and so when I was in college, I learned Latin. I've completely forgotten all my Latin. I know some basic stuff, but I also married a classics major. My wife. She used to speak fluent Latin and ancient Greek, so read it and speak it. So I've been lazy. Whenever I have a Latin thing, I'm like, Cam, tell me the answer. Oh, know how to ask for a beer. Yeah. I actually have. And the way it's pronounced in ancient Greek is very different from what you think. The reason why I always say Aegis is because in Latin, the A and E is an A. So in Latin, when you have an AE, it usually is an A sound. So it'd be like Aegis or Aegeus. But when you translate it into actual Greek, it's a little different. So. Yeah, but you can also pronounce, you can also, I think it's German or English, the AE is an E rather than an A. So you can also take the AE and make it an E sound, so it becomes Aegis. Do I know about sword fighting treatises, HEMA, historical European martial arts? I don't know a lot about HEMA. Most of my experiences wasn't in war. I have some experience, but like for instance, most of my reading was about ecclesiastical history, because that's the most accurate or the most common history you see in for the time periods, the Anglo-Saxon period of British history. It's the ecclesiastical histories are the ones that you see most often. The Anglo-Saxon chronicles do exist, but because all of them are written by monks, it makes sense to kind of understand the context of who they're written by, and then to once you understand people like Bede, you can understand a little bit more about the Anglo-Saxon chronicles. I don't know how to read ancient Anglo-Saxon. I'm not even going to try. Egg. Question: does Vandal go well with lemon butter sauce? It tastes like bacon when it's exposed to the vacuum of space. That's all I know. Yeah, but I mean, you're also talking about pretty much all of Europe had the same thing. The church spread was the last vestiges of the Roman Empire that really remained. In fact, the Pope is not actually a Christian position. The Pontificus Maximus, which is what the Pope is, predates Christianity by thousands of years, or hundreds of years at the very least. Caesar was the Pope at one point. Julius Caesar. I'm sorry, Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar. Because there is no C in Greek or Latin. There's no S sound for C's. All C's are hard K sounds. Did I study the leaders of Candace? No, I don't think so. I have to look it up. Most of my time period was around the late Anglo-Saxon, early Viking period. Got him? What? So yeah, so the term, for instance, Kaiser in German is actually a corruption of Caesar. It's a German corruption of Caesar from the time when the Holy Roman Empire controlled most of Germany. The emperor was called the emperor, but it was sometimes referred to as the Kaiser because of Latin, because they spoke Church Latin, or, kind of corruption. And then the Tsar in Russia is also a corruption of Caesar, because Caesar eventually became just a title that was passed down rather than the name. Yeah. They're both corruptions of Caesar. Kaiser and Tsar. Hey, going good. Did Constantine ever call himself by that title of Pope? I don't know. That's not my time period that I studied a lot of. I know Constantine was more of the late Roman emperor, but the Pope or papacy is another word for father, and the Bishop of Rome was the early church title. Yeah, but it's inherited from the Pontificus Maximus, which was the head of the Roman church, the head of the Roman religion in Rome. And the Romans don't discard anything. They just absorb it. Ancient Rome is just an amoeba that slowly absorbs things and transforms itself. That's how it survived to the 15th fucking century. It survived only, up to like the 1450s or something like that, or 1400s. It's just constantly changed itself over time. Tsar also comes from Caesar, yeah. What does this have to do with aliens? People ask questions, I answer them. That's what AMAs are. Any other questions? We're gone in this weird historical rant. Well, and politics tangent. Let's talk a little bit more about actual aliens and such. Question: is the tractor beam or the docking collar at the rear of the? Both of them are. I think there's a docking collar and a tractor beam. Many games fiction take old Greek, Latin, and Romanian mythology. Roman, yeah. Mythology terms and name for alien stuff. They try to, yeah. A lot of it is because the initial concept of the UEE comes from Rome, ancient Rome. A lot of it is more like that. Is the Space Pope reptilian? Yes. Question: did the Xi'an have relations with the Devarin before human-Devarin war? We don't know. It seems like the Devarin didn't have first contact. The first contact the Devarin ever had with another species was humanity. Because the reason why the Devarin declared war on humanity was because they were their population was exploding because they hadn't fought a lot of wars. They had actually kind of held peace together. So the warlord, who had managed to kind of unify all of the species, was dealing with a lot of land was becoming scarce and resources were becoming difficult. So when humanity showed up, the warlord who controlled the Xi'an, because the head of the Tavaran state is called the warlord, declared war on humanity to expand the empire as a means to get out of the home world, because they didn't have terraforming technology, so it was difficult for them to expand. So they invaded the UE and did very well, because it was also dealing with these restless people who hadn't fought a war. If you're a martial species that haven't fought a war, you gotta fight wars, and it didn't turn out so well. Hello there. How you doing there, the stranger creator? I love Thuran. Thank you. I mean, that's kind of what these office hours are. We're going to kind of go on tangents every so often, but they're AMAs. So, like, I already kind of covered a little bit more of the alien lore a little bit and how Alien League works. And so we're just kind of in the second part. Question, did the Xi'an... Oh, yeah. Humanity, we can help you with that population problem. Pulls out a gun. Actually, the first human who encountered the Tavaran thought that because they were a little bit more... They didn't seem to have as much technology as humanity did, but were spacefaring. The person who discovered them thought that the humanity would be able to absorb them into their empire as a way of just kind of peacefully bringing them in as a client state of the UPE at the time. To allow them to expand, but inside the empire as a way of, like, you know, becoming better. That didn't happen. I mean, it did, just with a lot of death. I have to look up that term because I forget what it means. Oh yeah, they're very Malthusian. It's not really realistic. The idea that population growth is like a big problem. It is, but it isn't. It is pretty much like one of the major themes of Star Citizen, though, is space. It's usable land, it's space, it's resources. And I think that's really more where it comes to, is less population causes problems, so we should cull the herds, and more resources are limited, thus scarcity is always a problem. We don't live in hyper space or hyper gay space communism. I can't remember, like, that whole term for, like, the Star Trek universe. We don't live in that in the Star Citizen universe. Yeah. Star Citizen universe is a lot more... It's not dystopian. I would say it's much more akin to cyberpunk and its themes. That, like, the major theme that's developing in the Star Citizen lore currently is that mega corporations are bad, actually. And that like, you shouldn't probably trust them. Fully automated luxury gay space communism. That's what I was thinking. Thank you, Heart of Hearts. At this time in Star Citizen lore, what's the closest real-world analog in your opinion? To what? Into the current time period in Star Citizen lore? Probably modern day. If the implementation of the fourth planet from the sun in the solar system, would it be Mars Citizen? Yes. Yes. Do Devarans lay eggs, and can we use them for breakfast sandwich? No, but they do taste like they do taste really good deep fried. Fully automated luxury gay space communism. Yeah. Would there be any use for the UEE's reconquer its systems lost to the Vanduul if all the worlds in the systems are now lifeless husks? You could probably terraform them. It would be difficult, but you could terraform them. They wouldn't have a lot of resources, which is one of the reasons why there's a debate about whether it's even valuable to reconquer the systems. Many people feel like they should be reconquering the systems basically out of a means to stop the Vanduul from attacking. The theory that, you punch hard enough a dog, the Vanduul are more like wild animals than a civilization. And so you attack a wild animal hard enough that you're a bigger threat than they are, they'll back off. But if you show weakness, they'll attack you. It's not a good allegory, and it tends to be a little fucked up, but it's the theory out there. Also, people want to patriotic, wave the flag, hoorah, rah, we took back our systems that were lost to the Vanduul. Because there are some places in Vanduul territory where humans still live. Orion still has human populations there. They're hidden, but they still live there. Joshua pulling out all the $10 words. I have to look these up. Yeah, basically that. Stellar. Yeah, I'm not to see how it's pronounced again. Stellar.
Revanchism.
There we go. Love sitting back and listen to your history it up. You're definitely a premier Star Citizen lore keeper. Thank you. Thanks for letting me lurk and have a good night. Thank you, thanks for listening. How long before a human Geon hybrid created by one of the Versus corporations? Probably not too long. And Rayari probably has already done it, because Rayari made the freaking Yeti that escaped and is now terrorizing Microtech. Have you noticed the information that besides your name on the webpage when you log in is missing? Is that just the site broken? The site might be broken. Hey, Fuzzy Walnut. You should read your question. What's your question? What do you think / want at the end of the Vanduul War? I'll read Magnates. Just turning into a long day after a long day. So are we getting a new alien species this Friday? No. Are they showcasing the creative process of making them, or did I read that wrong? I don't know. I'd have to read that again. I don't know if that's going to happen Friday. Yeah, we did talk about the new ship. But what do I think / want the end of the Vanduul War? I think the dual war needs to end. So Algrid Al's got a big theory on this one. So there's a couple of different perspectives. If anyone watch Lore Citizen, if you're watching this on YouTube, watch Lore Citizen. We have 2 episodes out there. It's our podcast where I get together with people and we talk about lore. Lore. We kind of pick a topic and we kind of go in depth on that. I come at it from a historical perspective because I'm a historian and a social scientist. Algrid comes at it from more of a ecclesiastical context, because he's more of a he's a teacher as well, like me, but he's also from a background of religious kind of readings and stuff. So he has a little bit more of an anthropological kind of approach to things. And Jael is a scientist. He's a biologist. So he comes at it from similar kind of spokes, but he also comes at it from a scientific angle. So we all have our kind of little like different styles that we go after. And one of the things that Al is very convinced of is that the Vanduul are an allegory for the Vandals from ancient Rome. Does anyone here in chat know why the Vandals attacked Rome? Huns. Money. The Huns. The Huns were a steppe people that pushed the Vandals, the Goths, out of their steppe lands and into German lands, which then pushed the Germans into Roman lands, and then eventually those cultures ended up in Roman territory, and then the Huns would come in. So Al is convinced that the Vandal aren't attacking humanity; they're being pushed out of their hunting lands and their homes by another species, and that eventually that other species is going to reach humanity. And let me put it this way. Humanity has struggled with the Vandal for hundreds of years. Do we really want to see what the Vandal are afraid of? That's what the theory that he has, is that the Gatac are the ones who are attacking the Vandal. So, the best way of ending the Vandal War, in my opinion, is the way that the Romans ended with the Huns. They sided with the they took the Vandals, they hired them as their mercenaries, and they fought the Huns. And if it's the Gatac, then the way you end the Vandal War is you have the humanity, Vandal, and the Xi'an allying together to attack the Gatac in this big epic end game sort of scenario where you have to defeat the Gatac before they get to human space. That would be my ideal ending. Oh god, the Reapers again. The old Halo storyline. Yeah, the Silence. So what's more dangerous than a Vandal? That's a question. Siding with the Vandal? That's a heresy. Reminds me of the Visari from Sins of the Solar Empire. Yeah, the flood pushed the ancient humans to foreigner space. Yeah. Would be interesting if the Gatac turned out to be a more benevolent species. That's Jail's take. Jail, I've talked with Jail about it. He says he comes up with this concept that I similarly do as well, believe in, is that the Gatac have the skill and the ability in the 15th century to assassinate the entire royal family, but then didn't seem to push into Xi'an territory during the chaos. Either the Xi'an are more powerful than we think, and that they could defeat the Gatac and each other at the same time, or the Gatac only did it to keep the Xi'an off their ass. And we also know that the new Imperator, Cray, that she ended up pulling away from the Gatac war, actually signed a ceasefire with the Gatac, and then demanded that all expansion move the other direction away from Gatac space if they're going to expand. And that set them directly into the path of humanity. It was the end of the Spirit Wars, or the ceasefire of the Spirit Wars, that caused the Xi'an to eventually expand towards humanity. Yeah, Kilrathi. A lot of people want the Kilrathi. On the subject of Vandal being pushed out of their lands, it's like finding a spent rifle round in the size of a house. Somewhere somebody has a rifle in their that fires rounds at that size. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to figure those out. But but eventually that person, it's more like eventually the person that was firing that round fired at something, and if you wait around long enough, maybe the thing that it shot, whoever shot that firearm at, shot that round at, is going to show up at the house. It's more like that. Is there a star map with all the territories? There is, but there's no Gatac labeled in the territories there, so we don't know where they are. We know the vague general direction where they are, but it's deep on the other side of Xi'an space. I would love the legends that could come out of that war. Yeah. So maybe the Gatac are like a culture, essentially peaceful, but would fucking end species that can't chill. Possibly. My theory is that they're an AI, because that fits in with the theming of Star Citizen being not necessarily AI phobic, but playing up the relationship of how humans or sentient biological species and AI just can't get along very well. And it has more to do with the fact that humans, in this case, the Xi'an as well, are super are just are flawed and will push those flaws upon the creations that they make, rather than accept them for what they are. That's my theory, at least, because of the, not necessarily anti-AI, but cautionary tale about AI. Do we know how much of anything about the Gatac? No one's ever seen the Gatac. All we know is that they exist. Humanity, some senators tried to send a spy through Xi'an space to get to the Gatac, was captured, and nearly started a hot war. Massive interstellar incident. But how does that work? How are the Gatac bordering the Xi'an and the Vandul? Could they even be that big? That's the question. We don't know where they are or how they border. We don't know where they are. We don't know how big Xi'an space is, because we don't generally know those situations. Maybe the Geth and the Quarians from Mass Effect. Yeah, kind of like that. Where like no one's necessarily the good guy in that situation. And a lot of people, like, I've seen a lot of people take the claim, because I tend to sensationalize. I intentionally do. I've been called out by Disco Lando on this before. I tend to editorialize a little bit, but that's because I'm trying to make it interesting, necessarily, and I'm, more of trying to get you all to read the lore than you are necessarily to just do everything on your own. I'm going to illustrate some points more than others, because it's more entertaining. But when I make the joke that the reason why AI doesn't exist in Star Citizen is because every time they make it, they go crazy and try to destroy everything, is mostly true. It's more that every time humanity makes an AI, whatever the AI is part of fucks up in some way. Not necessarily maliciously, but there's some mistake goes wrong. The first AI I ever built was to manage the automated traffic of Tokyo, and it fucked up and got a lot of people killed. The second one that we know of was built to help regulate and speed up the Martian terraformation process. And like the week before it was, or the day before it was, they were supposed to sign off on everything to make sure that Mars was terraformed. There was a rapid collapse of the atmosphere and people weren't prepared for it, so they all died. So every colonist on Mars died. And people blamed AI for it. Then you have the Artemis, which had its own AI system on board, which was the first interstellar flight using quantum drives to try to get people to another star. And it was lost shortly after it left the solar system, and people blamed the AI for it. Not necessarily because there was evidence that the AI was doing it, but because AI had fucked up so many other times that they blamed AI for it. So it's important to understand that, like, the AI aren't necessarily malicious. They just constantly cause problems, or at least they think they do. That's the kind of way of kind of thinking about it. Now it's a Battlestar Galactica storyline. Yeah. The Xi'an made up the Gatac so they could sell more Sentokyai. Well, that's the other theory, is that the Gatac aren't actually a species. They're just a house. They're like a rival empire of Xi'an, of the same species, that just have a different philosophical outlook. That's the other theory. It's very important to keep in mind that jump points don't create borders in the strict geometrical sense. It's more like adjacent graph. For all we know, the UE could span over several galaxies. That's true, though I think they've confirmed that it's all in the same galaxy as far as we know. So maybe they're kind of a zealot race blindly following some old mistranslated text knowledge. Or the other way, like more of a radical, less, well, because the Xi'an are more feudal. You could think of them as being more like Enlightenment era, people who are promoting democracy and, those sorts of ideals, which are very different from the Xi'an ideals, which would throw a lot of things off balance, because then why would you need great houses if everyone could vote? If you elected your leaders, there would be no reason for inherited houses. That's fucking dangerous in a society that is as fractal as this is Xi'an. So very chaotic, and the Xi'an crave order over anything else. Order and stability. Yeah, nobody's confirmed anything about the AI. Think of the Wing Commander movie. The Pilgrim kid turned fighter pilot, kept ignoring the AI in his ship because he could navigate jump points better. Yeah. Hey, Andrew Good. How you doing, buddy? Xi'an Levski. Exactly. Yeah. Those who don't know, Levski is actually the name of a freedom fighter. Or Xi'an Ryoma. Or Xi'an George Washington. Any clue about a race that's more bug-like hive mind, like the Zerg bugs from Starship Troopers? Not really. Not that we know of. So if the Gatac are AI, they are on a mission to help all squishy species, but they end up killing them. My theory about the Gatac maybe being AI comes from the idea that they may be a species that was created by the Xi'an as a means to prevent their extinction or even to fight their wars. And they turned on the Xi'an because they didn't want to fight their wars and escaped. And when they're like the civil wars. And when they escaped, they managed to form their own colonies far away. And when the Xi'an decided, hey, we're going to deal with this chaotic element near our borders, they found out that the AI that they created is more capable than they thought, and so they've been butting heads with them, which would explain, for instance, why the AI is mostly why the Gatac would simultaneously assassinate the entire Imperial household, but then don't take advantage of the chaos and invade, because it's more of a leave us the fuck alone than we're here to conquer you. I'm like, this is very sleazy. The real threat is the bugs. You can't have peace when you're falling through a planet. It's the Geth all over again. Yeah, something like that. Oh, great, Star Citizen Borg. So an engineered slave race. The other theory is that I've heard as well is it was possibly a predator race on the Xi'an homeworld. Because the Xi'an are actually carrions. They're not the predators. They're not apex predators. So the idea that a apex predator race that was sentient, that was possibly hunting the Xi'an, that the Xi'an eventually turned on, escaped the world before the Xi'an conquered it, and they're like eternal rivals. Or they could just be a cool new alien species we've never heard of. So the revolt of the Alexis. Yes. The only good bug is a dead bug. We're told the Xi'an scavenger species and weren't the alpha predators in their homeworld, so we didn't know what happened to alpha predator there. They're all dead now because the Xi'an kind of exterminatus to their own world. But we do know a little bit of them. The Santokyai is actually the name of a species, a predator species, of a predator avian. Not avian, but like flying species that is present on Xi'an worlds, which could likely be one of the predators of the Xi'an homeworld. So you can think of the Santokyai as like the ship is naming a human ship a falcon or hawk or raptor. So those things. Hey man, getting late. What were your thoughts on the new turtle ship? Is it worth the price tag? I'll go over that right now. I don't think that the new Xi'an ship is necessarily worth the price tag, but it depends on what you want. It's a hull B in all practicality. It's a hull B with more firepower and missiles. But it's also got more accommodations for longer flights. It has a built-in tractor beam, so it's a little bit more self-sufficient than a hull B is, which will require a little bit more infrastructure or like actual support. But the price tag is very different. It's $200 compared to $90 for a hull B. So, and the thing is, the hull B might actually change. It might lose some of its cargo. There aren't many ships that size near that price point, are there? There are, but it depends on what you're looking at. As a pure hauler, in the same vein as like the Hull series, yes, and you could get a Hull C for the same price with like 14 times the cargo. So it's a little different. Is there a reason the UE military views the post-Messer advocacy as a joke? I don't know if it's true or not, but I would say it has a lot more to do with the fact that the post-Messer advocacy is a lot more police force and a lot less secret police. So they're a lot more bound by red tape and regulations than they are designed to hunt down the Empire's enemies. Why are alien ships so expensive? Because alien tax. Because they're exotic. That's why. It's always been the case. All alien ships are like 50, sometimes 50% more expensive than their human counterparts. And I think the real reason why, and CIG is kind of been upfront about this, is that they'll often price ships much higher if they don't want to see that ship a lot in the verse. You know, there's a reason why Idrises cost $1,000. One, people will pay for them. But two, they also limit them a little bit. But two, they also want the ships to be a little bit less common. They don't want everyone to have an Idris at the start of the game. So that's why they do some of these things. So they're FBI, not CIA. Yeah. They used to be like a combination of the two. They used to be FBI in the 40s and 50s. And then they became the FBI today. Hey, Young, how you doing? Seems like a blockade runner. Good shields, lots of guns, long duration quarters. Possibly. It's definitely more self-sufficient. It's more designed for long endurance travel than short cargo runs. The question about if it's worth the price tag, that's up to you. I feel like most Star Citizen law enforcement is bounty hunters. So that's the thing. The thing you have to understand about the universe of Star Citizen, especially the UEE human sectors, is that if a world is not deemed to be valuable enough for its resources, it's often abandoned. So systems often are unclaimed because the UEE, the UNE, or the UPE, or the UNE just didn't see any value in taking those systems. Eventually, they may have become valuable because of strategic reasons, but the initial evaluation is always, was there resources to be exploited? And if there's not, they just kind of ignore them. So as a result, these low resource systems tend to be heavy outlaw systems because people still looking for places that do not have government presence to form their own societies. So, and even in places that are under UEE control, don't necessarily have UEE representation. There's plenty of places that have UEE protection, but are actually really more fringe worlds. And those places can't rely on the UEE Navy to patrol its space. They need to do it themselves. So most of the universe, in terms of law enforcement and protection, is made up of militias and bounty hunters. Those are the real law enforcement and protection that people have for most of the frontier, especially in outlaw systems where there is no UEE. So they rely on those things. And people say, well, outlaw, it's pirates and blah, blah. It's like, not really. The first pirates that exist in the Star Citizen universe were actually rebels. They were people who were anti-government rebels who escaped the end of the Unification Wars and became the first outlaw packs. That's the reason why I tend to, and you also see a CIG, tends to not refer to groups as pirates anymore. They refer to them as outlaws, because that tends to fit the theme a little bit better. For those of you who don't know, an outlaw is an old English term that doesn't mean criminal. It means someone who lives outside the protection of the law, meaning they choose or are forced not to be protected by their lord or by the manor. They do not have protection under the legal system. The Stanton system is a good example of that. The Stanton system is intentionally has less patrols of UEE because it's paid for by the corporations to protect it. Oh no, I mean, outlaws are still pirates. Pirates can be outlaws, but all pirates are outlaws, but not all outlaws are pirates. That's the best way of putting it. If you killed an outlaw, you could be brought up on criminal charges. Yeah. I want a cowboy hat. I do too. Is this Battletoads? Yes, Revenge X. This is Battletoads. So that's why you often see militia and bounty hunters be the primary way of getting revenge or protecting a system. And they're not bad. The best outlaw system, the best militia in the entire Star Citizen universe are the Bremen Defense Force. And the Bremen Defense Force has been at it protecting Bremen for 600 years. They're very good. The reason why the Super Hornet exists is because of the Bremen Defense Force. Basically, the Anvil designers sat down with the Bremen Defense Force and said, here's an Anvil, or here's a Hornet. How can we make this the perfect Hornet for you? And they told them what to do when Anvil built it for them. So that's why we have the Super Hornet. Pirates that are inside the law are privateers and mercenaries. Yeah. Yeah, Nyx is a good example. Nyx is an outlaw system, but they have their own police forces. They have their own militia that defends the area, and they have their own laws. If you fuck around too much, if you're an open pirate, if you are loud as fuck, if you're just like lol kill everything, you cannot land at Nyx because they cannot accept that heat. If you are literally too hot to handle, you can fuck right off. You're going to get shot at. That's how the reputation systems work. How much of the game power do you think the huge player organizations will have? Will they be able to challenge the UE military? They'll probably be able to challenge the UE military for a little while. It depends on where they're located. If you go to Seoul and they just start fucking things up, they're going to get absolutely shreked. But Bremen, Castra, they might be able to handle themselves a little bit until the UE fleet shows up, and then they're going to get absolutely crushed. No, there's no way that the player organizations will be able to handle the full might of the UE Navy. It's just not going to happen. Think of it. It's a similar situation to Concord and Eve. Shreked, yeah. Question: why is Drake so bad? No ejectee, go boom. Drake's not bad. There are two types of pilots who fly Drakes: bad pilots and epic pilots. Epic pilots and dead pilots. All Drake pilots are good pilots. Drake bad. Fuck yourself. Are there different ships with listed shield emitters as different component other than shield generators? Or is the Railen the first? I think the Railen's the first. Because shield emitters are going to be the new thing that they add. And the fact that the Railen only has one emitter tells me that we're going to start seeing interesting dynamic develop in terms of how many emitters you have and the size of the emitters, which will determine a lot of those things. Drake has the best pilots in the universe because all Drake pilots are either amazing or dead. There ain't nothing in between. Hey, leave Drake out of this. Corsairs can be amazing. Corsairs can be great. I tend to say that in fiction, my character would be from Magnus, which is the homeworld of Drake. It's where Drake is headquartered. So I got a little soft spot for Drake. Buccaneers are insane. Like if you're a good pilot and you can learn how to use a Buccaneer, you can destroy anything. And if a Buccaneer works side by side with another ship, like if it's a tandem ship, it becomes either a distractor. You have to pay attention to it. Two Buccaneers together, you're dead. 2v1, you're just gonna die. Doesn't matter how good the pilots are, you're gonna die. You might kill one of them, but you're gonna die. Diablos and I used to fly a Buccaneer, and Diablos used to fly his Vanguard together, and we used to go hunting, go like bounty hunting like that. In a serious pitch battle, 2v1 with the Vanguard and the Buccaneer versus any ship, you will beat you. It was just that bad. Magnus, aka Space Detroit. Yeah. Okay, I'm the dead guy then. Hey, leave Drake. Okay, never done that. Drake reminds me of Lotus. Pretty decent performance, but seems to be built in a shed. How brilliant do you think playing in character is going to be? I would love to find a decent RP core. There's lots of RP orgs out there. I think it'll be more prevalent than you think because Star Citizen's built to be RP friendly. Everything is done in fiction. Like the stuff that is mentioned in like the game mechanics are mostly utilized in the lore as well. So it's very easy to transition a lot of that. There's a couple of RP orgs out there. There's a big like blanket organization for Star Citizen role-playing groups that I'm a part of that does events all the time. In fact, Meyer just released a great video doing RP in Star Citizen with Mythmatic. I am also going to be doing something. I used to do this kind of a light RP thing where I open up a bar out of a 600 or a Phoenix, park it on a near a landing zone or in a specific location, and have people come by and grab something to drink. So, yeah, Star Citizen makes you RP. You want to do fleet ops? Hope you understand fleet operations and the role you have to play. Exactly. I'm glad to see Meyer doing that. Yeah, he did a great job with that video. Question: has CIG ever said the Sentinel will be able to jam radar? They've implied it in their lore literature, but I don't think they've ever said it is 100% able to jam radar. They're designed to go in and take out like radar installations, but I don't know if it'll necessarily fully be able to jam radar. Which aliens are likely to make a 325A style ship? I want to keep my eye out for an upgrade. Probably the Xi'an. Yeah, probably the Xi'an. The Banu are a little bit more sea creature-y, but the Xi'an might be something like that. What kind of Banu merchantman info do you think we will be getting during Alien Week? I think we'll get probably a new concept update at the best, or maybe nothing. Why do none of these ships have a stereo? Because only humans are appreciative of great sound systems. How many Drake owners does it take to screw in a light bulb? What does it matter? They're all going to blow up anyways. Yes. Can't jam radar unless you have the Raspberry. That'd be a great name for a system, like a jamming system, the Raspberry. The Buck is the epitome of Drake. You will know what is better than ejector seat, a size 4 ballistic cannon. You don't need to eject when all your enemies melt. Yeah. I need to play Space Jam while jamming the radar. Would having an all-alien fleet in the future jeopardize your rep with the UEE? Probably not. because they all sell them commercially. So have a good night. Have a good night there, Naz. Thanks for hanging out. Only one man would dare to use such jam on me. Lone Star. Yeah. Question. Sorry I missed this stream early, but your thoughts on 30 seconds with the new Xi'an ship. I think people are looking at it the wrong way. People are looking at it as a cheap ship for what it does, but in reality, it's a expensive hull B. It has some advantages that the hull B doesn't have, but the question is are those advantages worth $100? Because it holds about the same SCU as an hull B. The Raspberry Dry jamming system. I think what you would do is you would say you would call it the Pi system, the Pi systems, Pi information systems, PIS, Pi's, and this is a manufacturer that makes e-warfare devices, and they build various jamming systems for different sizes that you can use to jam local scanners and radar. And they would be named after various berries. So you have like the raspberry, Razbery, the strawberry, which is like a STRABERY. You have like different names like that as the jammers, and they're different sizes. That would be funny. Yes, the Pi system. Oh, the Pies Company. I know them very well. How big is the Connie Taurus hull compared to this new ship? The same length, different size. Like the height of the I want to say it's the Railen, but I always screw that one up. Railen, of the Railen. The height of the Railen is bigger than a reclaimer when it's in flight mode. It's about the same height as a Hercules when it's landed, but the sweeps and lose the creeps. What's the cost of Hull C? About the same price. I think it's a little bit more expensive, but the Hull C is also like I've heard someone say it's like 14 times the amount of cargo. Let me put it this way: the Caterpillar holds more cargo, and the Hercules, they both hold more cargo than the Railen. Railen? Okay. I'm going to screw up all the pronunciations all the time. Ask just to understand why is so much more cargo space. Because it's bigger. It's external. All of the cargo space is external. It's a bigger ship. The length is about the same as the Connie, but it's much taller and wider. And all of the cargo is external, whereas all of the Taurus's cargo is internal. The Connie Taurus is a meme right now at this point, just like Eddie Parr and the Surrender Mechanic. I think Surrender Mechanic is coming in 314. It's still scheduled to, at least, or they committed to it. And Eddie Parr is in game. He just isn't a mission giver. The Taurus is coming out soon. I think it's supposed to be coming out next fax. Well, yeah, it's more like salvage. Keeps getting pushed back. So let me get this straight. So a Hull B, but with more guns and better shield, also multi-crew. Well, the Hull B is also multi-crew, but it's like two crew members rather than one. It has more guns. The Railen has more guns and missiles, which the Hull B doesn't have. So it's a little bit more self-defensive, and it also has more crew. Trade is dead. I use my M2 to do box missions now. Trade's going to be dead for a while until they can get more of the commodity stuff hooked up to Quanta. Yeah, surrender is committed, but they haven't said a damn thing about it. The C2 isn't really designed for trade, though. I mean, it is, but it's designed as a vehicle transporter. I said that on the... I don't know if they've released that Info Runners episode yet, but I said on the Info Runners episode talking about it, that the C2... that the Hercules is a vehicle transport. It has other purposes, but its main purpose is a vehicle transport. Does the Railen and the Hull B hold the same kind of cargo? Yeah. They both have external cargo holds, so I assume they'd hold the similar kinds of cargoes. We know anything about Xi'an shield tech? I know Tavarin is supposed to be amazing. The Tavarin shield tech is better than Xi'an shield tech. I imagine that the Xi'an shield tech is pretty good because they're just a little bit more advanced than humanity, but I don't know if they're better than humanity. When will the whole sea go on sale then? Sorry if it's a dumb question, but I'm super interested in cargo gameplay. Probably IAE, the end of the year. The whole sea is also scheduled to come out in 3.15, I want to say. Like in the fall. It has a release date on the roadmap. Again, those roadmaps are all lies, so it really depends. They're all vague suggestions at what CIG wants to do. I think the whole B holds 60 more SCU. Yeah, but that's also old numbers. It's from the Matrix of Lies, and the whole B was sold at a weird time where the new systems weren't really input yet. So it's really hard to tell if that's accurate still. The Railen can also maneuver better as well. It should be able to, yeah. But the question becomes: are the internal components, the internal like living space, the size 4 guns, the missiles, and the tractor beam worth an additional $100 over the whole B? That's the question. Well, the numbers are in the game. I don't trust it. SCU is different. Heck, even the C2 and M2 different numbers than what's promised. Yeah. What is it about Xi'an ships trying to be the biggest hitbox possible in their flight configurations? Because they fly vertical. What's the Eve version? Is it Mimitar that has like the vertical ships? Also, how hard would it be to have an unpaid intern take a day to update the ship matrix images, huh, CIG? More hard than you think. The issue that CIG I have with that is more they need to. They said for a while ago that what they were going to do was build a back-end system to update the Matrix of Lies directly from the game rather than being just kind of bespoke entities. So, why would you need guns on a hauler? Like World War II cargo ships mounting guns decks and subs kill them? Because it's designed to be independent. The Star Citizen universe is very dangerous. So having guns is a security measure more than anything. It's not necessarily a gunship, but yeah, I'd say it's invest time. I'd say not to invest time in fixing things you plan to replace. Yeah. Where's the naming function for all ships, eh? I don't know. Ask CIG. CIG wouldn't lie to us. There's no precedent for that claim. They haven't fixed all the certain ships yet. Yeah, they haven't. I think what CIG's plan was to roll out ship naming, and if that did well, they'd continue to roll it out, but they fucked it up because the name naming system doesn't account for different colors of skins, so it's only one color. So any darker colors are going to make those harder to see, or lighter colors, I think is what it is. So. Why do modern cargo oil ships get refitted with machine guns today? Because there are too many wannabe pirates. Not wannabe. There's too many. There's too many actual fucking pirates. Hey, when do you think the Sentuk will drop in game? Probably after Squadron 42. I think the Xi'an cargo ship that we're seeing being made today being sold today is, especially since it's already 3D, is more of the modern take that they're going for a lot of the Xi'an ships. I mean, the whole sea has talked about getting set up as a Q ship. I mean, that was really what the MISC is, the miss is, the freelancer miss. It's supposed to be a Q ship, and same with the Banu Merchantman, supposed to be that as well. I want cloaking tech, at the very least, mirror paint. Yeah, you're not going to get that. Also, names don't show up on the expedition or BIS Carrick. I wish I could see my Carrick name. Yeah. Hey, Soul Citizens, thank you for the raid. Guess I have to stream a little bit longer then. I don't expect the BM to be a Q ship anymore. Yeah, I mean, was 2015 when that came out? Wasn't the whole sea meant to have hidden smuggling compartments? I don't know, maybe. Oh yeah, I could do the demo. I'm going to see if it's updated. It probably has. So, for those of you who don't know, I raised money last month to buy a new rig, which I have done. After much gnashing and wailing, gnashing of teeth and wailing, I ended up getting it all set up. Thank you, Darj, and the entire Astropub community, Star Citizen community, really, for helping me out with this. Are you kidding me? It's just now finishing up, Darj. So we'll have to wait a few more minutes. Hey, Pops in Space. What's a Q ship? First time I've heard that phrase. It's a term from World War I and World War II, which is a designation for an armed merchant vessel. Basically, a merchant vessel which swaps out a lot of its cargo capabilities for more guns. And they were used as wolves in sheep's clothing. They were designed to sail out to attract the attention of submarines, and then when submarines surface to demand the cargo handover or to get people off the ship so they can sink it, the ship would then reveal its deception, like pull off the hidden guns and then start opening fire on the submarine. They're essentially Navy vessels, which were commercial vessels, which were retrofitted with weapons and crewed by Navy personnel. So basically, it's a weapon upgraded cargo ship that pretends to be a cargo ship to hunt pirates or whatever. Will I be able to fly my Apollo Medivac, shoot and kill players so I can rescue other players for money? Possibly. When are we going to be able to name our ships? I can't wait for those shipping McShip faces on the side of Idris. You can already name your ships. You just can't. You have to do it on the website. Ooh, a new rig, yeah. I literally finished installing all of the stuff a couple of 30 minutes before we went live. So this is all very basic still. Could you suggest a ship for someone who wants a Serenity-esque ship for a small crew to live out of? I bought a Cuddy Black, but that's basically a Scania with a sleeper cab. Carrick or the Hercules, possibly. The Hercules has a very similar kind of cargo setup to the Serenity. Probably the closest you're going to get to it. The Carrack is the best option, though, in terms of its ruggedness. And the Connie is kind of... I wouldn't suggest the Connie necessarily, though, because you're going to run into the problem where the max crew is 5, really 6, but Carrack is probably the closest. MSR, kind of. Yeah, the Carrack is basically a Firefly. It's about the same size, similar characteristics, has guns, one like the Firefly. Has a lot of room for crew and a lot of places for crew to work in. The MSR is more like the Millennium Falcon than it is anything. Same with the Connie. They're both very, very much similar and based off of the Millennium Falcon than they are the Serenity. The Freelancer is the spiritual Firefly. It's designed to be rugged, it can be multi-purposed, but it's very small, so it doesn't really have that small thing. There are other self-sustaining ships. The Freelancer class is pretty self-sustaining in terms of its long-term duration, but it doesn't have any medical bays, if you mean medical bays. The Carrack also has a med bay, yes. Your serenity is wherever your heart says it is. Aww. What do you mean the number of seats in the Freelancer makes no sense anymore? It makes more sense now, actually. 4 seats plus a gunner seat. Well, why would you need 4 seats? Because of operator modes. You have the pilot, the co-pilot, which can operate power or missiles. You have another pilot and another seat in the back for operating shields or power or missiles and so on and so forth. Yeah, sensors. Engineering. So wait, if I'm looking for the business jet of Star Citizen, what would that be? The Phoenix? Yes. Business jet, Lear jet of Star Citizen is definitely the Phoenix. All right, let me do this real quick. There's lots of stuff that needs to get changed up, but. I'm going to move over to the broadcast side of things. Oh, the Genesis fit up with that. Yeah, you could also do Genesis with that. Yeah, that's really weird. I've had this happen before. Let me end this task. Close. All right. Let me try this real quick. This is a kind of a quick bench test sort of thing for Star Citizen. Save this. Save. Any word on what pilot guns the Railen will have? None. The Railen doesn't have pilot guns. Dude, I love the fact the Freelancer actually has seats for more than 2. Oh, hey, what's up? That's not what I was expecting. Hey, Ram. All right, so let me launch this bad boy. Hopefully this works. I'm sitting on a Carrack F7A Super Hornet, Mustang Omega, BMM with upgrade to Hammer and Polaris, Saber Raven, Freelancer Max, Ranger CV, and a Royale. That's a lot, Iron. There we go. All right. Let's try it. Brand new rig. Let's see if this works. 400i? Ouch. Do you think the 400i is a real ship, or do they leak it on purpose for the April Fool's joke? I think it's a real ship. I don't know if it's the same style that the leaks people have. But because it makes sense. There's been a lot of discussions about that kind of thing. But yeah, I'm going to change all that stuff when I load in. You forgot to mention the amount of regret he's also sitting on. What? Was leaks ever right? They've been right in the past. That was what I suspect. I was looking forward to an Alien Freelancer Misc equivalent. Yeah. I mean, not with Origin. It's not going to be Alien, but... What does the new rig have for equipment? I have to put this up there, but this is a... So I ported my 1070 over. 1070 Super. I ported over my... my PSU, which is a 750 watt Corsair, I can't remember, it's an MX, I think. But I got a new CPU, which is a Gen 11, I want to say. It's I can't remember the exact one. Darj, help me with this one. I got 32 gigabytes of DDR3 RAM or DDR4 RAM, which is fairly decent. Yeah, that's pretty responsive. Okay, let's go to options. Graphics, set very high. Field of view up there. VSync, no. Chromatic aberration, I don't know what that means. Sharpening, film grain, no. Off. Audio. I'm not going to do the whole thing because I actually have to reset up all my controls and stuff like that. But I just see how this runs. Okay, so we're currently looking at 56 FPS, 55 FPS. Which is a lot more than I had gotten before. 11700K, yeah. Yeah, I would have, for comparison, I would have been getting around 30 FPS in my old rig. You get some hiccups, but then it goes right back up to like 40s. Some weird frame issues here, but they're higher frames. There's Microtech. Pad 2. Yeah. please. Pad 2. Okay. We need some 200s and 500s, 400s, 700s, maybe. Yeah, CPU is more important. Now, the reason why I upgraded was because my computer was very old. It needed to be updated anyways. And I'd already been upgrading it piecemeal, but I didn't mean to. It wasn't something that I was planning on doing necessarily. It just happened because things just started breaking. So when it came down to it that my CPU was the thing that was holding everything up, I decided to get, if I was going to get a new CPU, I needed a new motherboard. If I needed a new motherboard, I needed a new RAM. So, a new drive. So I ended up doing that. I don't know. I have to put it on. I'll have to put it on through the Moby. There we go. You're going to be a PvPer as you get more than 3 frames? I might do it more often. I'm getting pretty steady 40 to 60. When did they add these? Thank God they added those. Yeah, I have 32 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM. Yeah, getting about 42 FPS right here. No, manually opening and closing. Yeah, we'll see how bad this is. About 50 FPS in third person. For anybody who's watched my stuff before knows that it's pretty good. Getting a lot of screen tearing here and there, though. I got 2 sticks of 16 each. I just was going for 32 anyways. Yeah, it's because I turned VSync off. I usually turn VSync off so I can actually get more frames. Let's see if we turn it back on. Yeah, I definitely lost some frames by doing that. Not much though. Yeah, I'm about 47 right now. It's going down a little bit as I get closer to the planet, but yeah, there's definitely a lot of server performance, which matters. But my rig was getting old, and I had the money, so. Seems to be holding steady. Look at that pop in. Oh, chugging back down to about 30. Yep, sub 30. Steady 30. I don't usually fly by keyboard and mouse, so. If you're happy, I love you, man. Holy shit. Now I'm back up to 50. Oh, that's because I'm inside the ship rather than outside. Yep, drops down again. It's like locked at 30. It's a lot better than I was getting before, that's for sure. $53. And then there's all the rips. We'll leave it on, actually. It's just dead on 30 for me. Yeah, but it keeps it locked at 30. Come back up to about 50. This is 1080. Use chromatic aberration? Not really. I have no idea what that does. You can turn that off, I guess. I haven't, no. This is just basic vanilla, just booted it up. I can guarantee you, for instance, if I'm getting 30 FPS in game right now with this rig, Diablos is getting 30 FPS at 4K with his rig. There's actually not a ton of difference between 1080 and 4K in terms of performance. They're almost dead on locked with one another. It's not like if someone who has 4K goes to 1080, it's automatically 60. They usually have about the same frames. It's not really based off of performance of the rig necessarily, the graphics. So I'm just walking around in more cinematic modes just to see. Show you the smoothness. That's just my experience. Diablos usually plays in 4K and I usually play in 1080, and we tend to have about the same performance. And we had similar rigs, though he had more beefier graphics cards than I did. And now we have, again, similar rigs once more, and I can almost guarantee you that he gets the same in 4K as I'm getting in 1080. The resolution isn't really the issue, it's other issues. You can definitely get 60 FPS in Star Citizen, just not in 4K, just not consistently, and not in these hab areas. Processor limited, yeah. It's definitely CPU. It also that the game doesn't take full advantage of the GPU right now. Almost everything is based off of the processor rather than the graphics, the GPU. Thanks, Darsh. You didn't notice any from 1440 to 4K? Yeah. You don't really see the FPS difference. All right, for fun, let's look at how many people are here. There are 48 people on the server. Oh, nice. I'll set that up then. Just walking around, enjoying the scenery. Doing a quick test of the systems. New Babbage is actually probably a pretty good good test for this whole thing too. Just because of how it sucks in terms of lag. It's up there on the screen. You can see it right there. Consistent 30. My rig is mostly CPU heavy though. Like I've got a bunch more. I'm looking at what the exact one it is. I'm gonna have to memorize what it is. 11700K with 32 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM. That's like 3600 and 16. I forget the name that again. I'm not a like a big thing. Morning there, Morningstar. Good morning there, Rhodesian. Lorville is worst performance rise. CL. It's actually CL16. 36,000 megahertz and CL16. All of the landing zones are terrible performance wise. Lorville's bad. Area 18's bad. So it's like it's really hard to tell the differences sometimes. They're all pretty bad. I've had some cases where Lorville's better in my experience sometimes. So this is just a kind of a...
Hi. Thanks for coming in.
Getting about 45, 46 FPS here too.
Hi. Good to have you back.
Hey, you don't have to believe it. You don't have to believe your eyes, but they're in front of you. For about 15 minutes, yeah. In first person, it drops down much more than in third person. I think it's just more HUD elements it's got to load. Oh yeah, it's definitely going to end up beyond
You can
that.
take away my spaceship.
Take away my spaceship.
You can take away my space suit.
Suit.
You can even take away my space lasers.
No pew-pews.
But you can never,
Never.
ever
Ever.
take away my space game.
And I don't want to get the VOD muted. Thank you for that Prime sub there, Auntie. 52 months. How can this be real if our eyes aren't real? All right, y'all. Thank you so much for hanging out with us here today at the Astropub. I wanted to get this done to show you off
Real
the
if
new...
our eyes aren't real and
That's a good question. Thank you so much there. Actually, let me go back to the broadcast and fix that real quick. There we go. And then we'll go back to the bar. Round of beers. Let's do more than that. Let's do a couple more here. Thank you guys for watching as well. Happy new PC build. Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad for it. It's going to help out a lot when it comes to getting stable frames in Star Citizen, but it's also going to help out more dramatically for other games as well, because my rig was just old. It's not finished yet. I'm still going to get one more. I have one more kind of replacement to do for a power cable, and I'm still waiting on two M2 drives, which are 1 terabyte black drives. So Star Citizen's definitely going to end up on one of those likely. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Make sure that if you're watching this on Twitch, make sure you're following us on YouTube or subscribe to us on YouTube. YouTube.com/theastropub. If you're watching this on Twitch, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you're following us on Twitch. Twitch.tv/theastropub. We're live on Twitch Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. We'll be back tomorrow with some more game testing and some Star Citizen. We might be doing a bar stream tomorrow. I'll make the announcement early on if we can get that to work. I don't know if any of the stuff I posted in Discord helped, but if it did. It definitely did. So this is definitely it's improved it dramatically. Run Star Citizen on an M2. Yes, that's the plan. Is run it on an M2. Because I'll have two 1 terabyte M2s, and I have a bunch of SSDs that I have managed to save from my last rig but that ends up to be a total of about maybe around 900 megabytes. No, gigabytes. 900 gigabytes between all three. And the plan is to probably run all of my other games on that. So finally, this game's about ships and only ships. Always ships. Is that so? Yes, it's only ships. No, it's more than that, but ships is the main draw that a lot of people have. The joke is about ships. What's that armor you're wearing? Oh, the armor I'm wearing is, it's, what is this called? I know you can't see it right now, but the actual armor is called... The helmet is the Morning Star, but the torso is the Inquisitor, and the arms are the Lynx arms, and the legs are Lynx. So the arms and legs are Lynx, the torso is Inquisitor, and the head is Morning Star. The Morning Star and the Inquisitor are the same kind of armor set. Yeah, I use light for the arms. And the cool thing about the Lynx is that it actually has like pants. It comes with pants with it. So you have like a little bit of armor, but you also get some kind of like a pants all over your regular suit, which is cool. You running 1 terabyte works well? Yeah. Check out the hospital. Hospital's not available yet. It's not in game yet. Mostly Tonk. This game is about ships and a Tonk. Mostly Tonk, yeah. The purple platypus armor. Yeah, I like the Imperial armor. Need my swords. We all need our swords. All right, guys. Thank you guys again. And like I say every time, hope to see y'all again soon. But if I don't, hope to see you someday in the black. Have a good night, y'all.